Saturday, there's UFC and Adesanya. He didn't become a reference by chance, he became one because few have done what he did standing up. Now he's facing Joey Pfeiffer, and a lot of people want to know if he's still the same. For me, the question is different. Do you still remember who he really is? So guys, Saturday we're going to have UFC Fight Night, and we'll have Adesanya versus Pfeiffer, one of the greatest strikers in the UFC. Against an athlete who's still on the rise but who shows power in his moves, he's a guy who can decide a fight with a single strike. I say it's a clash of intelligence versus power. A lot of people look at Adesanya and sum it all up as just kickboxing, a nice fighting style but already outdated. I don't see it that way, you know? I see a guy who's really improving in grappling, who's been at the top for a long time and brings a lot of fighting experience. He's an amazing guy, very experienced, both in kickboxing and mixed martial arts, man. If we count all his fights, he must have over 200 fights already. And he knows every inch of the octagon. He's a guy who's already faced the best strikers, the best grapplers, and has succeeded against a lot of people. And Pfeiffer is still a rising kid, a guy who hasn't faced those top strikers in the division yet. And now the time has come for him to face, in my opinion, one of the best strikers still active in the middleweight division. He has to bring chaos to the fight right in the first round, where he depends on landing a good shot to turn the fight in his favor. A guy who is still an uncertainty within the division, facing an opponent who will really make us believe that he can be something within the division. Adesanya at this moment is the benchmark for the country. Pfeiffer got past Adesanya, hey, he got past a great striker, so now he can actually aim for something in the division. Against pressure fighters, Adesanya has always been very smart about that, and he struggles when he gets cornered. We're talking about a guy who has a lot of power, a guy who's going to bring chaos to the fight. Pfeiffer, knowing that Adesanya has trouble when he's cornered in Pfeiffer's position, would first take this fight to the cage, put Adesanya against the cage, make him use his arms a bit there so that he would lose some of his striking power, right guys? Against good grapplers, Adesanya has already been tested. He has a good level of takedown defense. He's improved a lot in that aspect and keeps getting better, okay? And he can be tested in that area. We've already seen fights where Pfeiffer brings that wrestling. He's not a controlling wrestler, but he has a good level of grappling. He's a guy who's really strong right now, so he can definitely bring that to the fight, that grappling element. That's it. That can make things difficult for Adesanya because we know that a striker, when they're put against the cage, loses striking power, right? Adesanya's technical advantage is his intelligence, his fight intelligence quotient. Adesanya is a guy who has an incredible expertise in making his opponent do what he wants. It's insane. He knows very well how to set traps and make the fighter believe they can succeed, and that's where the problem is, right? Adesanya is the guy. He's the master at setting bait, and the guys fall for it, man. In the first round, he needs to bring that frustration of missing the touch to Pfeiffer. He's going to have to use a lot of jabs and movement, jab and move, not backing straight up, but using lateral movement instead. A lot of jabs, some leg kicks every now and then, and a high kick to keep him on his toes. Earn Pfeiffer's respect and keep this fight at long range. So, Pfeiffer needs to fight very smart and not rush in recklessly. But we know he needs to make Adesanya move backward and corner him to have success. But he has to be careful. Adesanya is a master at controlling distance. That's exactly where Pfeiffer could face trouble. When Pfeiffer gets hit, he always reacts, so it's really important for him to be careful because Adesanya is going to bring that frustration to him. Adesanya is very smart and has a much longer reach, right? He's a much longer guy than Pfeiffer. Pfeiffer is a very explosive guy. He arrives with a dangerous reputation, strength, aggressiveness, and aims to disrupt Adesanya's rhythm by closing the distance. That's the only chance he has in this fight, to go all in. That's the fighting style Pfeiffer brings to this moment. If he wants to trade at long range with Adesanya, trying to stay in a kickboxing match from a distance, there's no way he's going to lose. And Adesanya has a good track record against explosive fighters, you know? He's faced several already. He's a guy who's a master at wearing his opponents down. He frustrates them in the fight. He really likes to hit and move. That stomp to the knee bothers the guy who's trying to move forward. That's a very important element from Adesanya. He has to use that. The low kicks, the stomps to the knee. He needs to make the guy feel insecure about putting his foot on the ground. Right there, bring that strength and problem to the base, okay? Pfeiffer is a guy who needs to be careful with his energy expenditure. He has very bulky muscles and he likes to use a lot of strength. Pfeiffer does depend on the moves he has, those precise strikes with his right hand. But Adesanya is a specialist in making him wear out inside, as we call it at this moment. That's where Adesanya's counterattack can really land, right? Adesanya is a master at building a fight. He's a guy who wins round by round. He doesn't go for one move to decide the fight. As for Pfeiffer, if he stays in this long-distance game, he's not a guy who has a smart game of moving around, of making the other guy miss. He's a guy who moves forward and punishes with strength and determination. It's exactly against an aggressive and strong guy that Adesanya's game stands out more. Guys, so Adesanya, when he's put in the position of being the counter-striker, that's his game. Adesanya is not a good attacker. Adesanya is a counter-striker by nature. He's the guy who makes you miss and get caught inside and punishes you all the time without putting himself in danger with a strike just to go to a decision. He's the guy who sets up the knockout, keeps punishing you, makes you make mistakes, and builds up to the knockout. So it's going to be a game of details. You see, what a lot of people confuse as just a phase, even a guy like Adesanya, who faced the greatest fighters and has already been the champion. People usually say that the guy who keeps fighting at the top wins, loses, kind of dims that star a little bit. But Adesanya, he only fights with the top guys in the division. I see that he's really good. He's a top-level striker, getting better and better in grappling. It's not an easy fight. Not for Pfeiffer, not for Adesanya, but I see a slight advantage for Adesanya in this fight. If Adesanya controls the center intelligently, he makes it harder for Pfeiffer to advance. It's important that he frustrates Pfeiffer's attempts. But he also can't give too much space and get cornered. He can't move backward. He has to move sideways, cut angles, because that's going to be fundamental. So that Pfeiffer has difficulty cornering, Pfeiffer needs to cut off the octagon, he needs to corner Adesanya, and then, yes, go for the precise attack and bring chaos to the fight. But he's going to face a guy who's a specialist in stand-up fighting, a guy who really knows how to cut angles. I really like how Adesanya switches stances during the fight. That's really cool about him. He really likes to confuse his opponent with that. Pfeiffer is on the rise. Adesanya has stayed at the top of the division for many years, but at this point in his career, he's coming in with a lot of drive. He's not giving up. He's showing his training. He's showing that he wants it. So I see a fire burning there, you know, Pfeiffer. First, second round, if it goes past the second round. Guys, Adesanya is only going to get better, right? And I think if this fight goes to 5 rounds, it's for Adesanya. A lot of people are saying this fight is 50-50. I don't see it as 50-50. I see an advantage for Adesanya. Anyone who's been following him can see that he's been training a lot. He's got the stamina. He's renewed. He's motivated. It's going to be a test for him. Yes, it will. A loss in this fight could lead him to an early retirement, and a win could put him back on track for the belt again. Me, since I like to break the odds, I'm betting on Pfeiffer. I really like that. Man, so I'm going for it. That's it. Let's bet on youth, on drive, on the experience he's looking for, right? Adesanya is already a guy who's 38 years old. Let's bet on youth and aggressiveness, on physical strength. This time it won't be a striking fight because we see and follow Pfeiffer's fights. He's a guy who likes to trade blows. But for this fight, I advise him not to stay standing. He throws a lot of jabs and takes a step back, throwing a straight over the top, which is very accurate. That's where he can really catch Pfeiffer.